Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Welcome to the Malaysian Investment Development Authority MIDA webinar on Smart Automation Grant SAG under Plan Jana Semula Ekonomi Negara Penjana, which was launched recently. Ladies and gentlemen, in attendance we have today distinguished guests, Mr. Siu Chun Thai, President of the Electrical and Electronic Association of Malaysia, TEEAM, Puan Azina Hamdan, Director of Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA, Encik Mazlan, Senior Deputy Director, Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA, Puan Nur Suzianti, Senior Deputy Director, Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA, and Encik Muhammad Gaddafi, Deputy Director, Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA. Thank you all for joining this webinar today. My name is Ahmad Afif Arif from the Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA, and I'm very glad and honored to be your MC today. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I'd like to make a few housekeeping announcements. For our program today, we will start our opening remarks by Puan Azina Hamdan, Director of Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA. This will be followed by Mr. Siu Chun Thai, remarks by Mr. Siu Chun Thai from the Electrical and Electronic Association of Malaysia, TEEAM, then followed by presentation on Smart Automation Grant by my colleague Encik Haslan Harun, and followed by a Q&A session. In addition, special for today and only for team members, MIDA will be offering an interactive one-on-one virtual consultation session between companies and offices to discuss further on this subject after the presentation. As a kind reminder, for those who haven't registered their interests for the virtual consultation, please don't forget to click the link after we complete our Q&A session. For the Q&A session, you can start posting your questions now in the Q&A box in the Zoom platform. We will try to answer your questions as much as possible after the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, for today's event, I would like to invite Puan Azina Hamdan, Director of Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA, to deliver her remarks. Puan Azina.
Thank you, Afif. Very good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mr. Siu Chun Thai, the President of the Electrical and Electronic Association of Malaysia, or TEEAM, the Secretary of TEEAM, as well as my team from MIDA. Welcome to this webinar and thank you for your participation. I am delighted that despite this challenging period, MIDA and TEEAM has continued to work together in organizing this session. I would like also to record my appreciation for the hard work put in by both team from TEEAM and MIDA that has pulled off this program today. Let us keep this momentum going for the coming months, and I hope this program will be beneficial in guiding team members, particularly in moving forward and to remain sustainable for the coming future. But most importantly, we want the program that we are organizing today, particularly, to be a success in providing an understanding to all participants on the latest updates on the government assistance in re-energizing the domestic investments. This pandemic has been unfavorable to the country's economic growth, particularly for the manufacturing sector. With all these challenges, the industry players face with rising cost of doing business, where new requirement or preventive measures must be put in place to ensure the safety of workers while meeting timely delivery deadline of the customers. Through this event, we wish to re-emphasize the government commitment to facilitate and support the domestic industries. So today, we want to share with all of you the latest financial assistance that was announced recently under Penjana, and my team, Encik Haslan, will be presenting. And please also feel free to raise questions in the chat box, and we will try to answer them during the Q&A. So with that, I would like to thank you thank you, and also I hope that this webinar could be the opening event where we can start be connected with each other, and we explore on how MIDA can further assist you in gaining this new financial assistance given to the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Pazina, for the opening remarks. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Siu Chun Thai from the Electrical and Electronic Association of Malaysia team to give his remarks. Mr. Siu.
Thank you, Arif. Yeah. Good morning. Salam sejahtera to all our members, of course, to the MIDA team, and thank you very much to the MIDA team, especially our Puan Azlina and the team. So I've highlighted that Puan Azlina have highlighted what have been talking about the pandemic, all these things. So I will not carry on that. So to the team member, please highlight more, okay, to whatever things you wish, because MIDA are supporting. MITI have launched, what I understand, probably later they will highlight to you. MITI have launched this SAG grant, which is in December 2020. So I wish all our members should participate or benefited from this drive. So, by the way, I would like to cut short my talk and my speech. I will like to move forward to let them present more interesting grant to all our members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Siu, for the remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to remind you that you can post your questions in the Q&A box in the Zoom platform, where we hope to answer some of your questions during the Q&A session. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Encik Haslan Harun, Assistant Director, Electrical and Electronic Division MIDA, to deliver his presentation on Smart Automation Grant. Encik Haslan, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Thank you, Cik Afif, Puan Azlina, and Mr. Siu Chun T from TEEAM. Thank you so much. We have now 47 participants joining our webinar. Thank you for spending time. My name is Haslan, and on behalf of our team, we would like to use this platform, the collaboration between MIDA and TEEAM, to share with all members of teams on the recently announced grant, which we hope by end of the session will help to benefit all the participants today. My presentation let me try to sort this first. Right. So my presentation today will cover 3 topics. We will go to the introduction, where we will discuss and share when does the grant announce, which part of the initiative by the government does this grant belong to, how much is the overall allocation under the grant, and most importantly, definitely, how much a company can maximally claim from this grant. After that, we will bring you through criteria, where we will discuss further on the eligibility criteria for applicant. And then definitely everyone is interested to learn what kind of equipment or machine or software or any expenditure that is eligible to be considered under this grant, as well as to understand when MIDA evaluate an application, what angle are we looking at to approve the application. Last but not least, we will share with you the method of the application to be made, the documentation, as well as the relevant contact for you to make further engagement. While I'm doing the presentation, please feel free to post your questions so that we can verify through Q&A session. YB Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali, the Senior Minister of MITI on 2nd December 2020 had officially launched this smart automation grant with focus to boost the strategic domestic investment with strategic focus for SME as well as MTC, the mid-tier companies. This initiative is actually a part of a lot of initiative announced under Penjana by the government to help boost social and economic impact of Malaysian. The SAG is a part of the 100 million allocation under Penjana. So under SAG, they are divided into the coverage under MIDA and as well as coverage under MDEC. So the company is eligible to get 50% of the eligible expenditure claim under this grant. So basically, every company, we cap at maximum 1 million per company. So example, you are claiming 200,000. After matching, if this 200,000 is the eligible expenditure, we will reimburse back 100,000. So this is based on the evaluation done by MIDA. The objective of the grant comprised of 7 criteria. Definitely, we want to encourage automized and digitalized operation among industry members. We want to improve the efficiency. This is the right moment. By giving the grant, we want to reduce the reliability on the low-skilled foreign labor, as well as to create higher income job opportunity. By embracing automation, we are hoping that the company will create a new position for Malaysian, which will handle all the automated machine. By having the automation system in place, we hope we can help to increase the competitiveness of the company. This is also aligned with government aspiration through National Policy on Industry 4.0. As well, the most important target number 7 will be during this pandemic, we want to help. The government want to be involved to boost the domestic investment. As I keep mentioning, I think Puan Azina also mentioned, Mr. Siu also mentioned, this initiative is targeted for SME and mid-tier companies. So on the right column of the slide, I share with you the definition of SME as well as MTC. It goes by the sales turnover as well as the employee. You might want to refer to this to see either you are eligible or not to enjoy this grant. We are looking at now who eligible to apply. When we engage with company, this is the main question being asked, that am I eligible to apply for this grant? Of course, MIDA offering a lot of incentive as well as grant. But for this specific SAG grant, we have 7 criteria that need to be complied by company before you apply for the incentive, the grant. First, you must be incorporated under Company X. The company also have to be Malaysian owned with at least 51% share, must have a business license from a local authority. The company must engage in manufacturing or services activity. And then the company fall under the definition of SME and MTC. We are also looking at the track record of the company. As such, the company must be in operation for at least 12 months before you make a submission to MIDA. Number 7 is the most critical element, where whenever the government is giving money, we also want to measure the deliverables. So you have to at least commit to one of the committed deliverables give by MIDA. What are those committed deliverables? You can see in the slide, there's 6 criteria listed in the list. The 4 are listed in yellow, while the other 2 is in orange. The yellow one are for manufacturers, while the orange colors are for services company. To facilitate company, because the government understand during this COVID, we don't want to keep giving incentive, but at the same time, penalty company with a lot of commitment for them to reach in order for them to get the reimbursed money. So we put a very flexible condition. The company must at least meet one of the listed committed deliverables. I'll give an example of how to calculate the reduction of unskilled worker, which is condition number 1. So if the company choose to condition themselves with this commitment, we wanted to see the reduction of unskilled foreign labor after you buy the machine. As an example, when the company proposed to buy a visual inspection machine, by buying this machine, I will reduce 3 manpower foreign labor after I use the machine. So W1 representing the number of foreign labor before the machine, W2 representing the number after the reduction, after you buy the machine. So this percentage will be the measurable when we audit the company during the disbursement phase. This slide show the eligible expenditure versus non-eligible expenditure. The spirit of giving the grant is basically to help company automate the machine, equipment, or software that used directly in the overall value chain of manufacturing and service activity. So by having this understanding, we can clearly see that the government at this moment wanted to help the company to buy machine, to buy equipment, to get the right software to help them automate the process. But rather than all this area, the expenditures are not eligible for company to apply for this grant. You can see on the right slide. In this slide, we wanted to share with company the journey of MIDA evaluating, and for the first time ever, we are introducing a platform where the company can themselves come and present the case to the committee. If you see, we are starting by company make submission of SAG to MIDA. When we are talking about submission, at the moment, to increase the attractiveness of this SAG, at the moment you will not only can apply directly, but you can choose to use the panel bank that we had engaged. At the moment, MIDA had signed the agreement with M-Bank, and on the way, we are still finalizing the agreement with Public Bank and also MIDF. Once these 3 banks all sign the MOU, the existing client of all these banks can make application through the bank, so that when you purchase the machinery, the disbursement will be done directly to the bank, not to you. We will dwell into that further, but I'll come back to the submission. So we can summarize, the submission can be done through company directly or through panel bank. After we receive your application, we internally also, MIDA has simplified the evaluation process. Once we go through your submission, we will check on the eligibility criteria, and then we will contact the company to attend the committee meeting, which is known as SAGAC. SAGAC committee comprises of MIDA, MITI, as well as SIRIM. During this session, we will invite the company directly to attend the pitching session. Through this session, you will be able to convince the committee that the project that you are undertaking is bringing benefits to your operation. Only after the committee meeting, MIDA will further consider your application and come out with the approval letter, if approved, to approve your application. Once approved, you are required to sign the agreement as well as proceed with purchasing and undertaking the proposed automation project that you presented during the committee. After you have purchased the machine, you can come back to MIDA to make disbursement claim. We will go and visit your facility and look at all documentation to prove that the proposed machinery, the proposed equipment and software that was approved is been purchased. And after that, MIDA will evaluate and present again in a committee to disburse the claim. During this, company don't have to attend and make any deliberation, because MIDA will conduct this. Once approved, we will channel the money back to the company or to the bank, depending on the method that you choose from the beginning. So the application is received from 4th December 2020 until 31st December 2021. And we, of course, similarly to the other incentive and grant offered by MIDA, the expiring date will be revised approaching the date, depending on the fund, because as I mentioned before, the allocation is limited to 100 million. So first come, first serve basis, first come, first take basis. So we would like to encourage everyone that listening to this to quickly apply so that you can benefit the most. As I mentioned just now, to increase the attractiveness of this grant, we not only offering a flexible condition to the applicant, but we are also offering a financing channel. So through our engagement, MBank, Public Bank, and MDF are three banks that has at the moment expressed the interest to participate in this grant. Example, if you any of the 85 participants that are listening now is one of the MBank group participant, you might want to scan the barcode now, because it will direct you to email to get further information on how is the arrangement by MBank for you to proceed doing the SAG application. So we wanted to be involved with the company where we are not just silently offering a grant, but we also want you to have the financial channel so that your automation initiative can be speed up. At the moment, we are still finalizing the agreement with Public Bank and MIDF. Once finalized, we will share with you the contact as well. What do I need to submit in order to apply for this submission? So I have listed there that you, of course, have to fill the application form, which is available in our website. And also you have to attach your financial statement for us to see the performance of the company, and then a record of SSM company profile, a valid business license from local authority. And for manufacturing, you are required to have a license from MIDA or an assumption letter also from MIDA. If you are a service company, you are required to attach any documentation to prove that you are undertaking such service activity. All these applications are to be submitted to MIDA with attention to Puan Dazina Hamdan, the director of our division. Given the current situation where most of us are working from home, we would like also to encourage you to make submission through email. This slide, we are sharing with you on how to reach through the information which is available in our website. But it's very easy if you can take your phone now and scan all the barcode appears on your skin. If you scan the guideline, it will directly bring you to the dedicated link in our website. So please download this guideline, the workflow, as well as the application form, so that you can flip through all the pages to understand what kind of information that we are requesting upon your approval. You may also want to scan the information available on your website now, on your screen now, to get directly in touch with the directory of our team, Electrical and Electric Division, and to follow our website if you wish to see the recording version of this explanation, as well as the initial engagement done by MIDA on 30th January 2021. With that, I eventually concluded my presentation. Worry not, if you do have a question, Puan Azina will be taking a lead in answering the question during Q&A session, as well as we are also having a virtual consultation session for registered company that may be a platform for you to brainstorm the idea on how we can assist you to benefit more from this new grant. With that, I end my presentation, and back to you, Afif. Thank you.
Thank you, Encik Aslan, for the presentation on Smart Automation Grant. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the Q&A session. I noticed that there's quite a number of questions from the Q&A box. We will try to answer your questions as much as possible within this 30 minutes. For the Q&A session, I'd like to invite Puan Azina Amdan, Director of Electrical and Electronic Division, MIDA, to answer questions provided in the Q&A box. I'll read the questions from the Q&A box.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Afif. Let me on my video first. Sorry, already on my video first. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe Afif can read the some of the question earlier that we have received. The one that Akila sent just now earlier. So maybe we can start with that question first. Or before that, I would like also to invite Encik Mazlan, Puan Suzy, and Encik Gaddafi to appear on the screen, so that I can introduce and show your photo lah to the participants, so the company would know who are we dealing with. So maybe Encik Mazlan, before I answer the question, Puan Suzy and Gaddafi, can you be on the screen first?
Okay, I think they're already on.
Right. Okay.
Showing their video.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Puan Azina,
Yeah.
for the first question, the participant asks, how will the project milestone be determined?
All right. The parameters that will be considered as part of the compliance of the condition that the company must follow is basically talking about the 7 parameters which Haslan has just mentioned just now. So for the manufacturing, you can choose 4 of the parameters, which is, for example, you can choose either you want to be gauged against the rate of reduction of unskilled workers, for example, or you might want to look at increase of your production volume post implementation of the automation. And then you might want to look at, or if you don't, if you prefer to look at more in terms of to focus more on the reduction of defect rate, you can also use that, as well as, for example, reduction of man hours. Yeah. But for the services, they only have 2, which is an increase in services delivery, as well as reduction in the man hours in the operation. So it's up to the company to decide which parameter they are most comfortable of. So you can choose from the 7. So these are some of the parameters that can be used in order for company to enjoy the disbursement of the grant. So that would be my first answer.
Okay, thank you. For the second question, a company asks whether or not they are able to backdate their invoice if they want to purchase any equipment before the grant has been approved.
Okay, the answer is basically no, because in this case, if you Haslan, can you show the workflow that in the slide just now, so at least we can guide the participant how the process will be.
Hold on. I think everyone can see my screen now.
Right. So looking at this workflow, so basically, it is from the beginning, at the point when the company submits the form to MIDA, there will be a pre and pitching, we call it pre-pitching, post-pitching, as well as post-pitching. So why we're having this pre-pitching and post-pitching is because we want to make sure that the company are guided on how to enjoy the grant. So upon the first step of receiving your application, following MIDA evaluated the application, we will bring the application proposal to the committee. We call it SAG or SAGAC in MIDA. So this is where at the point when we have this SAG meeting, the company will be invited. Those that that can be considered will be that can be considered as eligible will be invited to pitch for the project here. So before you have that pitching session, a pre-pitching will also be coordinated by MIDA, so to guide you how to prepare and how to present your case. But and then will be the pitching process, and post-pitching for those cases where you are successful, then MIDA will also guide on how to make sure that you do enjoy finally up until the disbursement of the grant. So this is to to avoid cases whereby a company is aware what is required of them, what is the procedure upon disbursing the fund, so that there will be no wastage in terms of whereby you at the end of the day, in many cases previously in other funds, at the end of the day, company did not manage to fully utilize the fund because of incompliances with the process and the guidelines. So this is where the process will be. But upon, if you can see, upon we have already issued you the approval letter, first thing is that the company must sign the agreement. So without the agreement, meaning the offer that MIDA is giving is not still valid. So we have to sign agreement between the company and the MIDA, and after that only you can purchase or the equipment. So if you purchase beforehand, let's say beforehand the approval, or beforehand MIDA signs the approval, signs the agreement with you, then it will become invalid. So I would suggest company do not rush the process of purchase, but what you can do is that you can just ask for quotation at the point for your submission. Just ask for quotation, but not any invoices to be paid to the supplier and so on. So this would be my advice to the company, to adhere and follow the SOP, so there will not be any wastage in terms of resources that been given to you. Yeah, so that will be my answer on the second question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a lot of questions right now.
Right.
We hope to answer.
Finish up the earlier one question. The earlier question,
Yeah.
if easier.
Okay.
Right.
So the next question. As a technology service provider, is there a limit of submission that the company, the service provider, can provide for the clients? Is there a limit?
Okay, so in this case, if your activity of service falls under the category which is administered by MIDA, the cap that we impose on each company is 1 million. Meaning, if you want to enjoy up to a maximum of 1 million, you have to spend about 2 million, for example, because it's half-half, 50-50. So the government will pay half, and then you also pay half. But in the case where you are not, the activity that is taken is not under MIDA's purview. So there is a cap whereby, for example, if you are applying, because this fund is given under two agencies. The first one is given to MIDA, about 50 million allocation, but another 50 million is given to MDEC. So the difference between MDEC and MIDA is that MIDA is focusing more on enhancement or digitalization, automation of the production activities or the services operation. But MDEC is looking at improvement of the business processes. So if you are under the category of whereby you are liable to relevant to MDEC, then there is some cap whereby per company is only about 200,000. So depending on which the services fall under which purview. So that would be my answer. So in the case whereby you're not under the purview of MIDA, that's why just now we mentioned we wanted to have, we requested a copy of a support letter from relevant agency or ministry saying that the activity is under their purview and is part of the activity that is being promoted or regulated by the ministry or relevant agency. So you need to follow either one of these criteria for the services providers.
Okay. There was a question following up to that, whether or not the companies are able to select their own service providers, or is it or they have to ask for MIDA's permission?
Okay, when you mentioned that this question is a bit generic. When you mention can they choose the technical service providers, this is is quite a gray area, because when you mention you appoint your technical service provider, are you saying that it could be in many scenario cases? For example, the company decided, for example, to choose a certain service provider to become part of the supplier. Maybe, I don't know, because the question is a bit generic. So because the earlier question was about what is the limit for any technical service providers cap that is allowed for them to apply under this grant. But if you mention that, what is the cap or what is the limit of whether they can choose their technology service provider, is talking about more towards like those company that is providing the devices or the solution to this particular applicant. Yeah. So the numbers we do not dictate. But again, as I mentioned, the cap will follow back on the applicant needs. So if the applicant is under manufacturing and is the concern is more to digitalize and automate the production, so meaning it falls back under, we don't care how many service providers will be providing the service to the device or the solution to you, but the cap is will be referred back to the 1 million that we impose on manufacturing companies, for example. So that's how we look at it. We don't look at what is the number of technical service providers is allowed. We look at the cap given to the manufacturing activities as well for the services activities. So that's the two different concept in terms of how and who and how much can be given.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will select from a lot of these questions. I'll select a few. Okay, there's also another question on whether this is would this replace the industry forward application, or are they still both available?
No, this is not replacing. This is basically is complementing, because industry forward there is some requirement which is a bit different, and this SAG provides some relaxation in terms of the requirement that you need to follow. So if it's industry forward, you have to undertake this readiness assessment that you have to apply online, and the assessor, which is MITI or TEEAM or MARI, will come to your place and have undertake the due diligence whether you are eligible or not to be considered for industry 4. So industry forward will continue, and there is some cost in terms of getting the readiness assessment report to be issued by MARI or TEEAM. If not mistaken, it's about I'm not so sure. It's about 27,000, if not mistaken. This one maybe my team later can verify the cost of readiness assessment. Suzy, right? 27,000, right? Suzy, per assessment.
Yes, for that intervention fund is 27,000 for companies who are not eligible. However, if let's say the company can apply direct to MITI and MPC, if they are eligible for the funded readiness assessment.
So you see, the requirement is a bit different, the procedure is a bit different, and the amount also, there's no basically really a cap that is determined. It depends on what is the requirement of the particular submission. So in this case for the SAG, we do not need we do not request you to submit any readiness assessment. You have to do your own pitching for us to decide whether we should give the grant to you or not. So this is the main differences. And on other funds, how it will be disbursed, basically it will be disbursed to the company, and you have to show proof that you have purchased and you already completed the purchase, for example. But in this case, beside the proof of purchase, the disbursement will be made direct. Well, I would suggest that the best option is to be made directly to the panel banks, so that will reduce the documentation requirement, because we already have arrangement with the panel bank. So this is to allow and facilitate companies getting the loans to finance the purchase of the equipment or the solution. So that would be the two differences. So in this case, whatever that we have right now under industry forward, under the ISF industry forward, it remains. There's no change, but this particular grant is to just really facilitate SME particularly to move into industry, to move into automation, and not, to ensure that they become equipped with the latest digitalization technology in the production. So that would be my answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to answer another question, this company asked if they want to purchase a new software for their electrical design to improve their efficiency and shorten their design time. Will they be eligible for the grant?
All right. It is basically, I mentioned just now, it depends. Haslan, can we go to the slide where what is allowed, what is not allowed?
Yes, I'm working on it. Hold on, please.
What is allowed and what is not allowed? Okay. We can have a look at this slide, for example. So again, when you mention about the equipment just now, it's also inclusive of, in this case, we allow softwares. So the software basically is not for the purpose of refurbish, meaning it basically to support the automation that you have in the plant. If you mention it's just for to refurbish it, it will not be considered. But if you're buying it in order for to allow certain element of the production line to be automated, then that is the purpose of this grant. But if you just mention that, okay, I just need my software that I have right now can already automate, but I just need to buy a refurbished one to backup, as a backup in case this one doesn't work, I still have another copy of another set. So if that is the purpose of the purchase, it's not allowed. But it's basically to make sure that whatever equipment that you have on in the production line, for example, or in the activities of your services operation, from it is not being automated, it becomes automated with the purchase of the software. So the software can be embedded inside the particular tools or device or whatever. So that would be the guidelines into how we foresee that whether the software can be considered or not.
Okay. The next question is on how is this acceleration program different from a normal application?
Okay, the acceleration, or we call it acceleration capital allowance, is basically totally a bit different because you will not be getting any disbursement in the form of cash, for example, in the form of payment directly to you, because it is deductible from your statutory income tax that you would declare to the IRB. So in this case, it's only on paper. You will not see the grant physically, because whatever that you claim for your final year, your final year financial year filing for the IRB deduction, that will be deducted directly by the IRB. So that is the main differences. Why we do it like that is basically to encourage company to spend more on equipment, automated equipment. So this was the announcement made much earlier. So many companies, really doesn't see, it's really not excited about ACA because you are not able to get the cash grant at the part of the reimburse back the payment to you. So the company would prefer something that reimbursable. But in this case, it's much better. We double up with, we complement it with the panel banks facilitation, so that you do not have to come back to say to us that I cannot fully utilize this particular grant because I cannot get any financing. So this is where we try to improve the reimbursement back in terms of improving the financial mode or the financing mode. So that's what the differences between ACA and this grant.
Okay. I'll also open up the floor to the deputies to assist Puan Azina.
Yeah.
Just in case if there's any extra additional information that they would like to provide. Okay. We also have a question whether there's this company that received an application, received the Industry Forward grant. Are they eligible for this smart automation grant?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
They have received the Industry Forward grant.
Yeah.
and they would like to know whether or not they can also enjoy this smart automation grant at the same
All
time.
right. All right. So in this case, I just want to make sure that my deputies, we can hear our deputies' voices. So maybe Cik Mazdan, you want to take away this question?
What's the question again, Arif?
A company has received.
I'm busy answering the Q&A box.
Okay. All right.
A company has received the grant, the Industry Forward Grant Intervention Fund. They would like to know whether or not they can also enjoy the smart automation grant at the same time.
They can, but it depends on the projects. We will evaluate based on what are the type of project that they want to undertake, and also what kind of machine that they want to purchase. Basically, the machines, because the industry forward, there's some process on that. You need to qualify some the readiness assessment, and also and then the what do you call this, the DSF and industry forward. For this one is very simple, and then this is very quite straightforward, and our target is more on the SMEs for this kind of facilitation. And I think it's good for the companies to take advantage of this grant, and this grant is very, what they call this, straightforward. And of course I received quite numbers of question in Q&A box. So all the kind of supporting industry, E&E also eligible for this grant, not necessarily for, as long as you undertake this kind of automation kind of activity. Yep.
All right. If I may add a bit, the most important thing, there should be no duplication. So meaning whatever that you have been approved, which is still running, you still have some running granted under other fund related to automation or industry forward. It should not be duplicated with the one that you're going to submit under SAG. So if it's, as long as you can determine that the equipment, the devices, the solution are different from the one that we have enjoyed or the one that you are currently enjoying with other grants, then should be okay for us to consider for the grant application under SAG. So that would be the additional information.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question on whether or not we can appoint service providers and machine suppliers from overseas.
Okay, this one I would like to invite Encik Gaddafi to answer. Encik Gaddafi, please.
Yes, Puan, thank you very much. I think, yes, you can use any service provider to import your machineries, because we don't have any restriction for you to import your machine. But of course, we always encourage you to source locally, because we also want to, help out or assist our local vendors and our local machine manufacturers to, to provide the service to you. Thank you.
All right, so I also would like to add in, meaning that if you remember, we have a pitching process. So at the pitching process, you need to influence the committee or the panel members that let's say you have to import, despite there is a solution provider locally. But if you're having some difficulty in terms of the specs of the specific requirement that is needed by your client, then you have to justify it. So it's not basically a blank check saying that as long as we allow you to import, you can import, or you can use overseas foreign services. But we are saying that the priority is to be given for domestic. But at the point when domestic are not able to meet certain criteria and specs, you have to justify it in front of the panel so that they will be agreeable to your proposal. So that would be the additional information that we want to highlight to you.
Okay.
Maybe I would like to add, because actually we have no objection for company to import. However, due to the current scenario, I think, perhaps company will have difficulties in terms of bringing the expert here to come and do the installation. So you have to bear in mind that there are the time limit, durations after we give the approval for company to do the implementation. So we want company to expedite in terms of doing the installation for this SAG. So it is more advisable for company at least to maybe you can import the machine but using our local service provider to do the installation.
Yeah.
Mhm. Another company asked whether or not they have to be a customer of the panel bank to be able to apply for the grant.
All right, Puan Suzy, you want to take away?
Okay, actually that is an option for the panel bank. If let's say the company would like to, make a bank loan, but however, if you have your own financing, then no need for you to go through the panel bank. It means that you can have your own financing and apply to MIDA. You know, you spend first and you come to us for disbursement. Yes.
But to add in also, MIDA plans to expand the scope of the panel bank, the panelists for the panel bank, because we agree that companies may have different or various banks as part of their financing partner. So it is in the process. So we have to take one step at a time, because we need to sign MOU with all these banks. So as what Hazla mentioned just now, we already got the M Bank to sign, but the other two is in the process of signing. So over time, we will try to expand it. As I mentioned, even though this particular grant is for 1 year until end of 2021, but somehow or other, even in the past experience of the other funds, if there is some benefit and some impact, normally before the end of the fund, MIDA will review again back whether we want to extend it further, we want to further enforce it, enhance it, or give it bigger allocation and so on. So try to be patient with MIDA, because some are still gray areas that MIDA has to attend to, because this is a new fund, and in some processes where in the past previous funds also, over time we will further improve on the criteria, on the scope of area allowance and so on. So these are the things that MIDA will do from time to time in order to improve the attractiveness of the fund.
Okay. I think there's quite a limited amount of time. I can only select a few more questions.
Right.
One of the questions asked is there a timeline for the purchase of the installation of the machines? And what happens if the timeline is not met? Is the company disqualified from claiming the grant?
Right. Okay. In this case, Haslan, can you show the is it inside kita punya guidelines one portion on the tempo tu, on the 6 months? Is it on this one?
No,
Alright.
we have that in the approval letter actually, the wording. Syarikat
Okay.
hendaklah membuat permohonan pertama bagi pembayaran balik grant dalam tempoh 6 bulan selepas tarikh kelulusan surat.
Right. So meaning 6 months is very critical. At the point when MIDA has approved the application, and that's where the clock start ticking. So it means the clock start ticking in this case before the agreement signing, right, Haslan? So the 6 months will come into effect selepas right after we have issued you the approval letter. So in the first 6 months, you have to start purchasing the equipment. And if you see that there will be some delay because of, for example, just now Puan Suzy mentioned, issues on movement of goods and so on because of the MCO, within the 6 months also from the date of approval, you must come back to us in writing asking for extension of the period, because the completion here talking about the installation, the equipment is on site, must be there, be seen by MIDA within 1 year. So if you did not complete the installation and the equipment is not ready on site within 1 year, as per what was approved to you, then MIDA can revoke back, or you have to pay back to the government.
Okay. We have one or two more questions that we will select.
Right.
The first question is: are in-house developed software eligible for the grant?
Okay. In this case, I will my assumption is like this, when you mention in-house development software, let's say the company itself develop their own software, but for internal application. So this is where we are saying that there's no cost incurred there, because this is for your own production. But in the case whereby you do not develop it, but you have to source it from a third party, and you need to purchase it. So the evidence is the purchase, the invoice of the purchase of the equipment or the solution. So in this case, there is no such cost incurred. So for those that using it internally or internally developing and using it for their internal production, that will not be eligible for this particular grant.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I believe we will end this Q&A session. Thank you, Puan Azina.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to all the deputy directors also for
Thank you.
assisting in this Q&A session. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our webinar today. We would like to thank the president of TEEAM, Mr. Siu Chun Thai, and all participants for joining this virtual event. As a kind reminder, participants who have registered their interest for the virtual consultation, please don't forget to click the link provided, as we have officers ready and waiting to answer your inquiries. I believe that we have the officers around. Maybe they can show their faces here. Maybe
They
you
are
can-
eligible for how long, Afif, for the consultation privately?
15 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay,
think,
in case if the company are not able to finish up their consultation online, just drop us an email. This is the email that we have. Alert us so that we can have VC with you directly later and go thoroughly on your project proposal. So that would be the best way, not just the consultation.
Yes, we will share. You can refer to the
Screen.
right now. This is the QR code will direct you to our directory of the electronic division.
Electrical division, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, Puan, if I may add on a bit, we have a lot of questions. Thank you very much. We have around 90 participants for this webinar today. And we see a very interactive session where our officer, all of us are trying to answer live. But some of the question is just too much for us to cope because the officer need to move to virtual consultation. As committed to TEEAM, we have designed this special virtual consultation for team members only, so that we can brainstorm the idea on how to use this grant. We'll proceed after this, but before that, I would like to ask the whole colleague of MIDA to open up the video so that the 90 participants can see the faces of the officer that will be assisting them if they scan the code on their screen right now.
So for those that have not registered for the private consultation, no worry. You can just email to us later, and then we can have a direct VC with you. So because we allocated only for a certain slot because there's some limitation, yeah.
All right, please, Afif, back to you.
Okay. Should
Right,
you need
thank
any
you.
more guidance or any inquiries related to our organization, you can also reach out to our MIDA state offices. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. We hope to see you again.
Right.
Please take care of midst of this pandemic. Abide all SOPs, and I wish you all the best. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sorry, the virtual one, they will come into the, they will direct to your link, right?
Yes, we send to them individually. They will go. I think the officer can leave and go to the virtual session.
So then I can make a move really, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maida. It's a very great session with you all. So we wish to work more closely with the MIDA for our members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Siu.
Thank you.
Masih? Hello? Trying to save all these questions.